right, beautiful people. So yesterday we talked about how to take a percent and write it as a decimal. Today our central question is, how do you write a decimal as a percent? So this time we're going to start with decimals and move to percents. So a few things that I want to remind us of are that the word percent means a number out of 100. Okay, this is always important. Again, this is something that you've had on your notes the past few times, so it's not like necessarily something that you need in your new notes, but it is super important because it helps us figure out where to put these things. Okay. The second thing that we should review is how to say decimals. So if I have a decimal that looks like this, 0.37, this is said as 37 hundredths or 100ths. Okay, and that's because that last digit, the 7, is in the 1/100ths place. Okay, so you say the number and then you say how many, whatever that last place value is. So this is 37 100ths. Okay, just a reminder so that we can think about why what we're going to do in the next statement makes sense. So we're going to start with a key idea about making a decimal into a percent. Okay, so the key idea is if you're writing a decimal as a percent, you're going to multiply the decimal by 100. And this is because a percent means out of 100. So for yesterday, when we were talking about making a percent into a decimal, we took that percent and divided it by 100 because we're breaking it into those hundredths place. But here, when we start with a decimal, we need to multiply it by 100 to make it a whole, a percent. Okay, so let's do some examples of this. Okay, so if I have the number 0.37, just like I did up here, this is 37 100ths, right? That's how I say it out loud. And since I know that a percent means out of 100, I'm going to multiply this by 100 to get back to the percent. So 37 hundredths times 100, if I do this in my calculator, this is going to give me 37%. Okay, that's my answer. That's how I write it as a percent. So just like when I took a percent and wrote it as a decimal, okay, the numbers are the same. So I'm going to notice that the numbers are the same. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say I have 15 hundredths. 15 hundredths, again, I want to make it as a percent, so I'm going to multiply it by 100, which equals 15%. So 15 100ths is the same as 15%. Okay. When we took a percent and wrote it as a decimal, we were dividing by 100, right? So we moved the decimal over so that it looked more like a decimal. But in this one, when we start with the decimal place, when we're multiplying by 100, this is multiplication, we're moving the decimal to the right this time. So the decimal that was before the 3 now ends up on the right-hand side of the 7. This decimal that was before the 1 now ends up on the right-hand side of the 5. Okay, the decimal is moving 2 places. You move the decimal only 2 places. Okay, and the reason why it moves 2 places is the same reason why it moved 2 places when we were taking a percent and writing it as a decimal. It's because we're multiplying by 100. Okay, 100 only has 2 groups of 10, which means it only moves the decimal place 2 spots. Okay, we're going to do some examples in the next video.